Take it easy and solve the school lunch problem with SPAM. S-P-A-M.
こんにちは、タイガークローラジオ。You are listening now. Back J.
You are listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Number one in vintage computer and video game entertainment. And now your host, Critical Failure.
What's going on, everybody? This is yours, Critical Failure. You are listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Oh yes, we are bringing the business tonight. Episode 192. How's that? Can you hear me okay? Oh boy, 1 second. Ah yes, that is the sound of true relaxation in the works. Loving it. That's how we do things here. All right, I have some treats for you. Later on in the episode, we are going to continue our retrospective of the work of Starship Amazing. Broken Robots is the album. That's the next on the list. We're going to play a track off of that. I also have went out and got some other cool things to go through. Sievert. Sievert is a chip artist who I remember from the 8-Bit Collective days. He had an album called Chips, Dips, and Face Rips. That's available on 8bitpeoples.com. Went out and got a copy of that. We'll hear a track off of that. And I've also got... I went over to the Pterodactyl Squad, and I took a look at their catalog. The latest Pterodactyl Squad release is from a chip artist called Pulsing, and it's called the Skyrunner EP, and that's got some really good tracks on it. Pterodactyl Squad has some great albums, so it was really cool to go back to that site again and get a couple of things. But we're going to start with Pulsing. And here's something off of the Skyrunner EP. Now I have no idea when this came out, but it's a free download from the Pterodactyl Squad. This is a little track entitled Moonslide, and it's the opening track off the album. You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Guys, you know how I do this. Let's head back to Monday morning and check out the Vancast. Monday morning, time for the Vancast. Alright, so lately I've been playing, in the wake of the Steam sales, H1Z1 King of the Kill. A lot like that game PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds has been really popular lately. King of the Kill's been around a little longer. System requirements are a little lower. Price is a little cheaper. PlayerUnknown is $30. It stayed $30 throughout the summer sale. Or I was able to pick this one up for $10. So, how's it been going? I think I'm about 6 or 7, maybe 8 matches in. It's been rough, guys. I'm gonna tell you. It's been rough. Not good at the game yet, for sure. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes from death to getting into the next match. So when I get killed, it's pretty rough. But here's the thing. I'm enjoying it because when DayZ came out, I really wanted to play DayZ the mod. DayZ the mod. I bought Arma 2 back in those days, back when it was $30 to get Arma 2 and Operation Arrowhead so that you could play DayZ mod. And I had to play it on my wife's computer, which could barely handle it. And I got about 20 hours out of it. And I had to kind of leave that whole survival subgenre alone after that for a long time. I didn't bother with the DayZ standalone because I knew I couldn't run it. So this is like my first, I got Rust when the Panzer put together, and it didn't really click with me. This is my first foray back into that type of game. And I gotta say, I'm enjoying it because there's not really any gathering of wood or water or any of that kind of like basic human needs stuff. It's just you get the weapons and you go at it, which feels great. Because in DayZ, I mean, you'll walk around for 45 minutes, find a pistol with no ammo, and walk around for another 30 minutes before you run into somebody and get killed and have no idea where it came from. At least in this game, every structure seems to be guaranteed to have some sort of weapon. And then the danger just lies in there being people everywhere. So I was able to play it this morning for about an hour before I left the house. I got up early enough to get some real game time in on podcast release day, which is awesome and also very rare. Anyway, so I had several matches where I just died, just straight away. I would fall from the sky to the spawn spot. I would run into the first building, and I would meet other fresh spawns who got just a slightly faster start, picked up their first gun before I got mine, and then I was gunned down. And that happened a bunch of times. One time I ran into somebody who did not have a gun either, and we duked it out with fists, and I lost that one as well. My favorite moment was, though, I dropped out of the plane, from the parachute like you do in the beginning of those matches, ran into a building. There was another person there who did not have a gun. I had been, in a match where we punched each other to death, so I knew you could kill somebody with punching. So I went after him, man. I was like, all right, I'm not losing this one. And he ran. And he picked up a pistol and some ammo. Now, I know when you pick up guns, they come empty. So you pick up a gun and you have to reload it. And you sit there and wait while it reloads. So I'm just beating on this guy while he's reloading his pistol. And it's like seconds. Every second counts. But he managed to get the clip in, pull back the slide, and loose a few rounds in me before I could get him. That was a fun moment. I died, but it was fun. So that's a game that has been I've been enjoying. My alternate computer, which I've had so much trouble with, I got Windows 7 installed, so it's now a Windows machine, and the wireless card is still bugging out. So I have to assume that it's not a software issue at all, but rather just that card is doo-doo. So I'm at a point where that needs to have a new wireless card, which is a shame because I want to get some game time in my downstairs quarters. I want to have access to some games where in places I didn't have before, which is really the point. There were a couple of games worth noting in the Steam Summer Sale. For whatever reason, Divine Divinity and its sequel, Beyond Divinity, were 60 cents a piece. They were 57 cents or something like that. Now, I had both of those games in my Steam collection for a while, but the last time I tried Divine Divinity was off of GOG.com, probably 5 years ago. I tried it, and I think at the time I was looking for more of a Diablo hack and slash kind of game, which is what I thought when I looked at the screenshots. But now that I know what it is, and it's a couple years later, and I saw it show up for real cheap, I think I'm ready to try it again. So I went to install Divine Divinity on my secondary computer. Which, how big is Divine Divinity, guys? I think it's like 2.5. I remember the install being about 2.5 gigs, which is pretty, it sounds a lot for like a GOG game, but in comparison to a lot of the things, it's pretty trim. I mean, in contrast, H1Z1 King of the Kill is 15 gigs, thereabouts. So, pretty trim. And that's when I noticed we had the Office on downstairs, and I was just trying to like install this game while we watched The Office, and that's when I noticed that it. Ooh, they lost a tire. Okay, good luck. So that's when I noticed there was some issues with the card, which was one of the reasons why I ditched Linux, because the reading that I did suggested that it was a software issue, an operating system issue. So it's a shame. It looks like I'm gonna have to buy yet another part for this secondary rig, which is fine. I'm just reaching a point, especially with my brother's computer blowing up and then working on this secondary computer. I want to just get it working and then close it up and not have to mess with the inside of the computer for a while. I'm kind of done messing with the insides of computers for now. I had a problem with it while I was tinkering around with it, getting a second hard drive wired in. Fired it up, and the BIOS said that there was the case fan was running fine, but there was a CPU fan failure. No, my CPU cooler. What is going wrong? I started to panic. So I opened it up and I checked all the connections. Everything seemed to be going fine. So all right, well, let's turn it on with the case open and see what happens. Maybe it's just a sensor. Maybe it's running fine. As it turned out, there was a cable that was jutting out and physically like sticking into where the fan is. Like, oh, thank goodness. So I was able to get that cleared up. And I'm just done with hardware-related issues at this point. The wireless card that I'm having trouble with, I bought so long ago because I had to collect all the pieces. There's no way I could return it, I don't think. On the upside, at least it's a less expensive part. I think I paid like somewhere between $15 and $20 for that. I could buy another one, without too much trouble. But I'm just ready to be done. Wanted to play I wanted to do all kinds of stuff, man. I wanted to unlock the full power of my Steam collection. Especially like in the room downstairs, like where we have the TV on typically. I thought it'd be great to have like Pinball FX2 open while the TV's on. That sounds really nice to me. Something that doesn't require a lot of attention, so I can kind of half play and watch TV. Just be around the family instead of having to be isolated in my office to play some core games. Be able to dip into my casual collection a little bit. I got a lot of Steam games, man. I want to be able to use that stuff. When I was in college, I remember looking at the statistic on Steam where you can see exactly how many hours you've played in the last 2 weeks, and it was usually upwards of 40 to 60 in college. Now, granted, sometimes I'd be doing a homework assignment. Like, I'd launch... Arcadia was a favorite of mine. I'd launch Arcadia, play a couple of rounds, and minimize it, and then do homework. And so it would count like homework time. But nonetheless, that's still 40 to 60 hours. And I looked at that statistic recently, and it was 7 hours. 7 hours at a time in which I felt like I was playing a lot of video games. 7 hours. And that's I'll give you a little sample of what my schedule is like, or what has happened to my schedule in recent years. But that's okay. And at least now, and in this moment, there's video games that I'm into that have my attention. So when I sit down to play games, there's not a struggle to find what's what, what's worth playing. I found myself in recent days, this past week, thinking about MagFest next year. It's quite a ways away. About 6 months away, 6 to 7 months away, but the thing about MagFest is the tickets usually go on sale in August, which is not too far away. So if you like to attend MagFest in the next month, I would say start visiting their website, and taking a look at what they have. I have not been yet. I will go to the MagFest website today. They must... if we're so close to the release of tickets, they must have like guests and music, acts. All that stuff must be announced already. So I'll take a look at that, and hopefully we'll report back later in the show and see what we have. Assuming I remember, which I guess is assuming a lot. But we'll see. I like to be positive. All right, how far are we in? 12 minutes? Let's see, we talked about H1Z1, we talked about wanting to play Divine Divinity, that being on sale. Had a little taste for Pinball FX2. I mentioned briefly that I wanted to play that on my downstairs computer, but I was able to collect a lot of Pinball FX2 tables in the summer sale. Of those tables, I've been enjoying the Plants vs. Zombies table. Plants vs. Zombies was the pinball table was one I got on the Xbox 360 a very long time ago. They had some kind of sale on it. I don't know, that's probably 5 years ago now. They had some kind of sale on it, and it was the first commercial Pinball FX2 table that I ever bought. It came out for Steam very late in the game. When we got Pinball FX2, that one, it still took a couple of years before it finally came out. So it was nice to pick it up finally, and nice to pick it up for a sale. I think I must have almost every table for FX2, at least every table I'm interested in. I know there's like a Family Guy table and a Bob's Burgers table. I don't know. Those adult-oriented cartoons like Family Guy and Bob's Burgers and all of, and the one with Bill Burr, those have zero appeal to me. I want to ask you guys about this, because you guys are dudes, right? Do you guys like Family Guy? You like that show? Because I gotta say, not a big fan of the Family Guys. Never really struck a chord with me. Seemed like I couldn't watch it unless I popped my collar and wore a polo. I don't know. Maybe it's just maybe it just clashes with my personality. Maybe it's because I have kids now. It just seems, I don't know. Not a huge Family Guy fan. But, be that as it may, let's see. We'll call that the Monday Vancast. I'll probably do another one sometime this week. Oh, wait, is that the camera? No, it isn't. Okay. Yeah. We'll call that the Monday Vancast. I'm looking forward to getting home today so I can play some... I don't know. Realistically, I probably won't be able to play H1Z1 tonight. But, I'll play something. If I have a few minutes, I can get a couple rounds of pinball in. But alright, I'll see you guys back at Panzer Studios. Alright, guys. This is the part of the show I like to remind you that this is a Patreon-funded show. I do have a Patreon, and the supporters of the show, as my thanks, they get TCR as soon as I complete it, which tends to be Friday evening, although today I ran into Saturday. I did the best I could. In addition to that, I also like to tip my hat personally to those that are keeping me on the air. And they are Hemrock, James, Sendu, Tecmo Balls, Darabka, and 6 Health of Fury. Thank you very much, gentlemen, and I hope you're pleased with the outcome. Alright, so that said, let's do this. Let's go back to Starship Amazing. Starship Amazing has an album called Broken Robots, and the way they did this is a really good album. And I would say it's better than Gearhart Decrion, not quite as good as Scoops is. But here's the problem that I think, the thing that I think they did wrong. When they marketed this thing, they said, these are songs that didn't make the cut for the double album release, which I always thought, since they charged money for it, was like, what? You're going to charge us for the ones that you didn't think were good enough to make the cut? But that aside, it's a great listen. I think they just should have maybe that one was maybe a keeper to yourself, for guys. I don't know. Just my thoughts. Alright, this track is called Kitty Pizza Face. It's from Starship Amazing, from the album Broken Robots. This no longer costs money. It is now pay what you want. You can head over to starshipamazing.com and get a copy of it. It's got 14 tracks on it. It's a great listen. Again, this song is called Kitty Pizza Face. You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio. That was good. Good indeed. Alright, I'm rolling towards the highway. I got a little ways yet. So that was one that didn't work out. But there was most of the games that I've tried that I've picked up for the summer sale have been really good. One that I particularly enjoyed was the .emu pack for their release of the Double Dragon trilogy. The first 3 arcade games released for Steam, GOG.com, and the Ouya as well. Back in those days. I dug into that last night, and I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I played through most of the original Double Dragon on a Raspberry Pi at MagFest last year, but I only made it about 3/4 of the way through. I sat down to play the first Double Dragon, and they picked up the speed a little bit. When I played it on the Raspberry Pi, I felt like it was dragging, but I didn't think much of it because some of these old arcade games, the pace wasn't the fastest. So I don't know if perhaps my ROM was slowed down on the Raspberry Pi, and this is just running at normal speed, or if they kicked it up a notch to make it flow a little bit better. But it did. It played very well, despite reports otherwise. There are a lot of negative reports in the Steam reviews about the Double Dragon trilogy not running very well. There's a lot of reports of flickering, that sort of thing. I didn't get any of that. I had a nice clean experience. I played all the way through Double Dragon 1 and most of the way through Double Dragon 2. I used the elbow cheese move, most of the way, but that doesn't matter. I was just playing to have fun. Just kicking around a little bit and just having a good time. One thing I noticed was that it was a lot easier than I remember. I was like, yeah, this is actually really doable. I don't remember it being this easy. I remember it being a lot harder. And I played all the way through the first Double Dragon thinking that. And then when I got back to the menu, I realized it was on easy mode. There's easy arcade, original mode, which is how it was in the arcade, probably how I remember it. And then there was an extreme or expert mode. So yeah, I played through on easy. I played through Double Dragon 2 on easy and still lost. Although to be fair, I was close to the end and I was making a lot of dumb mistakes because I thought I had unlimited continues. But man, I had a good time. I didn't realize how messed up some of those games were. Specifically Double Dragon 2. Double Dragon 2 opens with the girlfriend getting gunned down, and there's some pretty heavy-duty 80s action movie themes in that game, which I thought were really rad. Really rad. Like, I want to go back and play through that game a little bit more carefully so I can see the end. I enjoyed the end of the first game when I got to the final boss. There was this guy, the big guy, and then he had like 3 or 4 henchmen. And I managed to defeat the big guy first, and then the henchmen just kind of walked off the screen. And that was it. I won. And I'm like, well, we're out of here. So that was cool. And that was that. I picked that up for I think $250 from the Steam summer sales. So these have been going very, very well. I'm looking forward to getting H1Z1, King of the Kill, with my refund from that really terrible arcade thing. Yeah. It's a shame because the idea of a 3D space where you can launch programs is something I really, think has a lot of potential. I would have paid money for Anarchy Arcade when it came out. It just so happened to be free. When I saw the trailer, I was doped about that game. And then it became freeware. I mean, I want to see it done right. That's what I'm saying. Anarchy Arcade was the first real implementation of that kind of thing, on Steam, where you could just pull Steam games right from your library. And I feel like, especially with the new update, they really just made it really terrible. There was an update which returned like all of your Half-Life weapons now appear in Anarchy Arcade. Like, you could pull out the stun baton and like the Glock and things like that. It just seems really out of place. I like the way it used to work. It used to load faster. It used to work better. It used to have some kind of multiplayer, although it doesn't now. I'm just not happy with it. I hope somebody does it better. That's why I tried this new retro arcade. And that is the name of it. That's a terrible name for a software package. New retro arcade, bro. Load it up today. $13 on sale, bro. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully I'll have some more time on my hands. I can go back and play the new Doom game. That should be fun. What else did I try? I tried Tron 2.0. Woo! That's a good game. That's another one I'm real excited to play. Tron 2.0. With the voice talents of Rebecca Romaine Stamos and Bruce Boxleiter, however you say his name, from the original Tron movies, from Tron and Tron Legacy. His voice is clearly recognizable. I played through the tutorial mode and just a little bit of the action of Tron 2.0, and I gotta say, super excited to get back and play that. Well, alright, I'm getting ready to get on the highway, and it looks really busy, so I don't really want to do too much more van casting. I will see you guys back in Panzer Studios. Oh yeah! Alright! Okay, so let's do a third chiptune, guys. Got a lot of really good chiptunes. Been really enjoying them. So let's talk about Sievert, okay? This is not a new album. This came out this came out probably 4 years ago or more. The album is called Chips, Dips, and Face Rips, but if you head over to 8-Bit Peoples, you'll see it. This is Sievert. Sievert always stuck out in my mind as having this ska vibe, this third wave kind of ska punk vibe that nobody else had. And I remember him putting out individual tracks on the 8-Bit Collective. So, and they were really good. So this song is called Party Dog, and it's the fifth and final track on his 8-Bit Peoples release. You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio. When we come back, we're going to do the fail bag. Heck yeah, guys. You see what I'm talking about now? That's what it's at. That's Sievert, okay? Let's see here. Okay, so let's do this. Now is the time where we come to the conversational part of the show. This is a small routine. This is a really kind of a back alley part of the internet kind of deal we got going on here. So I like to keep the door wide open for all of you guys to chime in and let me know what you got. Anything, you want to have read on the air, any questions, comments you got, take notes while you listen and spit them back out at me. There's few enough of you that I can usually get to everybody. This is the failed bag, guys. So I'm heading over to, let's see. We'll check YouTube first. YouTube usually has the most stuff. Then we'll pop over to the next round. And then my website. We'll see what we got. By the way, last week was the first week I ever posted Tiger Claw Radio directly to my VidMe channel. And I think I lost subscribers last week. So my condolences to the VidMe users who decided to move on. That's just fine. We're okay with that. All right, so last week was Summer Rosen. All right. Give it a second to load. We have detected ways to improve your video's cropping. Would you like us to enhance it? I don't want YouTube to enhance anything ever. All right, we've only got to wait. There's comments awaiting approval. Ah, yes. There's one marked likely spam, and it's from my friend Darabka, the Gaming Beast 82. By the way, I love the Michael Rosen. I love Michael Rosen, the living meme. So let's approve that, because that's one of my boys. Yes, live web serving. Okay, so Death Adder writes, at minute towards the end, you refer to Rebecca Romaine as Rebecca Romaine Stamos, completely dismissing the fact that she is now married to actor and singer Jerry O'Connell, who is the star of such classics as The Mummy and Batman and Robin. A formal apology should be addressed to Mr. O'Connell before he hears this episode. If you ever plan on working on This Town Again, that is. I'm not a big fan of first-person shooters post N64. F that Jonathan Ray. Okay, so her name, Rebecca Romaine, her name is actually written into the credits of Tron 2.0 as Rebecca Romaine Stamos, which is why I wrote it that way. Also, I'd also like to point out, I remember her the most from, like, the early before that, probably late 90s, like 98, 99, that sort of era. I was watching a lot of Conan O'Brien then, and she was definitely Rebecca Romaine Stamos at that point. Afterwards, I had no idea what happened to her. But point taken. Also, no first-person shooters past N64? Come on, bro. What are you playing then? Without any... That's a lot, okay? I agree that the classic first-person shooters are the best. But post-64, there have been... Alright, I'm going to pop over to my Steam collection, where I have a specific catalog, alright, of first-person shooters. Which, by the way, that catalog has 168 items in it. So you're telling me... Okay, yeah, most of these are bad. Well, that leaves out Gary's Mod. You can't play Gary's Mod? Oh, man, that's a great game. You can't play... Yeah, Heretic, Hexen, Hexen 2, all those will work. What about Half-Life, dude? Half-Life came out on the PS2. Does that count as post-N64? No Killing Floor? Jeez Louise, man. No Painkiller? I feel like Painkiller is a game you would really be able to get down with. What about Serious Sam? Come on, dude. Come on. I expected more from you. Especially from, like, a huge wrestling fan. I don't know how that relates at all. I take that last statement back. Let's move on before I get myself into trouble. Yes, okay. Gaming Beast 82 brings the business. He writes, I think I have real issues going back to games with tank controls. I tried to like Postal 1 again. Excuse me, I read that wrong. Like, I tried playing Postal 1 again, and it's just clunky it's clunky. How is the Redux version? I had similar issues with Alone in the Dark 2. I played through 1 as a kid and loved it. And the retro Gaymore wants to play through at least the original trilogy. But what ruins Alone in the Dark 2 are the awkward camera angles. Nocturne was my favorite in the classic fixed-angle survivor horror games for me. Too bad they never got to make a sequel. I don't want to be a graphics snob that only plays the latest games. I love old games, but yeah, there are many that haven't aged that well. I still give most a chance. Racing games are not much my thing, never has been. My cousins are obsessed with them. I mean, the more realistic simulation ones. If I'm going to play one, it's got to be more arcadey and have something with it like Carmageddon. So I may get something from the Steam Summer Sale, but I'm kind of meh. I got so many games to play, I don't really feel the need to add more. Sure, a lot are bundle fodder. I will at best try to dislike and forget, but there are still hundreds of games I want to play. Right now, I'm still able to put some serious time in games. I love to play Steam games over the app on my phone, like it should be a thing by now. I got a Moga gamepad, sweet, I got one of those too, and have been enjoying it from time to time to play emulators. Playing some newer retro style games would be cool to have on the go. If we get the chance, we should play Metal Slug games online again. Those seem to work well, and they have achievements and trading cards now. Question of the Beast. Are there games that are hard or impossible to emulate that haven't been released on GOG that you would love to have? Mine would be Conquest Earth, an RTS game that was released in 1998, the year of the RTS. It was ambitious, but I think it got lost in the flood of RTS games that came with the success of StarCraft. I actually think it was... I actually was thinking which one to get, Conquest Earth or StarCraft. I guess I bet on the wrong horse. I still loved it, though. The Myth RTT series is another one. And Dark Earth. Anyway, catch you on the flip side. Thanks for the comment, man. Got some good stuff to unpack here. Let's go way back to the top. We're talking about racing games. Your cousin, I seem to remember, specifically had over 1,000 hours in Assetto Corsa. Am I correct? Assetto Corsa being one of the, the more realistic style games. Now, when I was buying racing games, the realistic ones to get were Assetto Corsa and Project Cars. The difference being that Assetto Corsa was friendly with mods. And they are good games. I'm not good at them, but those are good games. Trackmania is not quite like that, though. Trackmania's got like jumps and the car shoots in the air and all kinds of stuff. It's not really much of a goal towards realism in Trackmania. But yeah, those are very good games as well. It seems like nobody in the group was really on board with the idea of doing a racing kind of thing, and that's okay. That's okay. There are other people in the world. You remember Apex? That guy? He was a Trackmania guy. He's the only one I think I knew. Apex was a Trackmania guy, and I remember Dalamar from Wasted Seconds also thought Trackmania was pretty fun. Let's see. A lot of games. Yes, there are. We should play Metal Slug again. I feel like Metal Slug is a chore to play through alone. I can only play Metal Slug with somebody now. Yeah, I would be on board for that. So let's get to your question, the question of the beast. Are there any games that are hard or impossible to emulate that haven't been released on GOG? So, there are several games specifically in the CD-ROM era that have not made it in yet. And one particular game for me, we'll call it a holy grail game, is a game called Pinball Builder. Now I'm going to keep this brief because I've talked about this many times in the distant past. But in case any of you've forgotten, or if we have any new listeners over on VidMe, when I was but a wee child, I very much liked building my own pinball tables. Now, there was a game for MS-DOS called Pinball Construction Set. My father had the 5.25-inch floppy disk. It was a boot disk game, so you just put it in and you fired it up, and you'd play until you're done. Then you shut your computer off. Beautiful. And this game was so good. Well, let's put it this way. It was primitive, but you could build a pinball table. Then you could export that as an executable. And there were a lot of cases where I would see collections of shareware, and among the shareware games would be a couple of tables built from pinball construction set. It was originally from the Commodore 64 era, when people would you could make a game in it, and you put out your pinball construction set table, and that was equated to an official release of a video game. That's the way video games were at that time. I loved it. It's a milestone in my life, that game was. So the guy who made it was named Bill Budge, and he went on to work on a game for the Sega Genesis. And the name escapes me, but it's the Sega pinball game where you can also build tables, but it's not quite as good because it doesn't maintain the elongated aspect ratio that pinball tables really need. So there's that. There is not really a decent way since those two games, to create pinball tables. The only other game I know of where you can do it is this game Pinball Builder that came out for Windows 95. And it's a CD-ROM based game. I even tracked down a copy of it and bought it recently in the last year. And it will not work on anything but Windows 95. And it breaks my heart, bro. Bro, it breaks my heart. Heart equals broken that I can't play Pinball Builder again. It was limited. It wasn't as good as the old Commodore 64 one, but it looked good. And you could put in your own sound bites. And you could put in your own decals that would stick to the table. I clearly remember building a table where every bumper made a fart noise when you hit the bumper pads, and there were like cloud pictures fixed to the table. It's good times. Now I know there's there's a program called Visual Pinball where you can build pinball tables. They tried to update the whole pinball construction set idea, but it requires coding. It's not like a simple toy that you can play with. So yeah, that's kind of out of the question. But I want Pinball Builder to come out on GOG. I gotta be honest, I just want to see more retro pinball come out on GOG. Why do we not have Epic Pinball? I know, Drabka, you know this one, but do any of you other guys remember Epic Pinball? Oh man, yes. Android was the shareware table that I think everybody had. And then once Abandonware came along, I managed to get all of the tables. I think it was like 10 or 15 or something. But that was a highly circulated game, and that's Epic Mega Games. Come on. That's Tim Sweeney, you know? That's Mr. Unreal Engine. Landmark game. Why don't we have that on GOG.com? Why do we not, a lesser gripe, but why do we also not have Jill of the Jungle on GOG? We've got, Crystal Caves. I believe we have Crystal Caves. We got that on Steam. I know we have a Secret Agent. Those are all great games. I would like to see Pinball Builder. That would make me feel very happy in my heart. When I bought Pinball Builder, at the time, I can't remember where I first heard about it. I think I played a demo. I played a demo version. I played a demo version on PC Gamer magazine, their CDs that they distributed, and it wouldn't let you save. So it was like, even at the time, it was like a highly sought after piece of software for me. And then later on, I found like a big, wide box that had all kinds of stuff in it. And so I bought this big collection of pinball games because it had Pinball Builder. Now, the other games in that collection, the ones that I can remember anyway, have surfaced. Because I know that had Worms Pinball in it, and that that game I now have on Steam, and it also had Balls of Steel, which I now also have on Steam. There were other tables that I can't remember because it was a big wide box, but it had those. I don't know. Those are some games I'd like to see show up on GOG.com or Steam or whatever. My opinion of those abandonware games, I think, has changed. I think at this point, I'm ready for them to go ahead and come out legitimately, so that they can be, have somebody go through and put together like a really sweet package for Jill of the Jungle. Never mind that it's been out for abandonware for a while. Get the 3 games, get some awesome scans, get some soundtrack, whatever. Get me some goodies and get it out on GOG.com. Get it so that I can play it in that client, so I can track my time. Speaking of Jill of the Jungle, that's one I never played the commercial version for. I remember it being available on abandonware sites. I remember even loading up the second episode, but the first episode was the only one I played through to completion, and I did that several times. Never actually dug into that commercial version and really played it to the full end of the game. Yeah, a few classic. I don't think I did that with any of the classic platformers. Commander Keen, that's another one I played to the end many times. I've even opened up Commander Keen and said, all right, guys, I bought this on Steam at one point. All right, I'm going to play from the first episode all the way through to the third episode. I'm going to play Commander Keen through. I remember doing that and never making, a couple of times, and never quite making it through the first episode again. I don't know how I did it. I think that game, like initially when I beat it, when I was like 10, I don't know how I did it. I think that game is really hard, or it gets really hard later. Or maybe it's not really hard and I just lose patience because, it's easier to acquire games now than it was back in those days. Oh man, when I beat the first episode of Commander Keen for the first time, I was working on my sister's laptop. And they had CompuServe. And they had a PC speaker. And they didn't get games from the internet. We got that off of a floppy disk from somebody. So those were good times. Good times in video game history for me. I think when this is done, I'm gonna play some Commander Keen. But alright, those are the comments off of the YouTube channel, and those are the most easily accessible. So I need to check a couple of things to make sure I don't step on any toes. I'm gonna pop over to the next round, just see if there's anything in the comment section. Let's see, we got Sean leaves another version of his comment there, just to make sure I don't miss it. Which, by the way, that makes it a lot easier for me to not miss your comment. So thanks for that. There's a couple comments over on TigerClawTV.com. Kazleb has an audio comment. All right. I have not checked that yet. That is a rare treat. So let's see what Kazleb has to say.
Kazleb, again, striking with another audio comment for Tiger Claw Radio, again. So, E3, oh yeah, sorry in advance for the reverb that's going on. I'm recording this in a bathroom right now since this is the most soundproof room in this area I'm around with right now, and I'm also recording off of the built-in microphone in my tablet, so it's not really the best audio equipment to do this in, but we'll get the job done for now. So I'm in Japan with 4 other companions, and I'm going to be leaving in 2 days, and I wanted to tell you how my trip was. It was really fun. Went to a couple places, rural areas, and went to Akihabara yesterday, and that was good. But ironically enough, I only bought anime merch instead of actual video game merch, or video game anything, since this is supposedly the video game capital of the world. But, not really that interested in video games as much because of what I stated before. That's okay. So merch. You're not really into anime, so I mostly just bought. You probably won't know any of these, but I bought 2 figures for Kizuna Monogatari characters. What else was there? A figure for Arrow Manga Sensei. One Piece figure set and 2 Blu-ray box sets for Sangatsu no Line. Yeah, I know this is all flying off of your head because I think the last thing you said you ever watched anime related or that you really got into was Tenchi Muyo, which I don't think I ever saw any Tenchi merch around Akihabara, or I didn't really looking for it, so who knows? And I'm not really interested in Tenchi Muyo in all honesty, but that's okay. So yeah, Matt, and all that stuff ended up costing me, I think, almost $700. I know it was less than 1,000. I definitely know that, but maybe 700, 800, who knows? But it's worth it to me since I don't know when I'm going to actually come back to this glorious country again. So might as well try to get as much as the stuff that I know I definitely won't get in the U.S. Well, get at the U.S. at a reasonable price. And also, I like getting the stuff from the source mostly instead of just getting it from a secondhand dealer at an anime convention or something like that. So yeah, E3 happened also. I should probably talk about the outcome of that. Nothing really interesting. I thought there would be a Shenmue HD 1 and 2 announcement or something from Sony, but I don't think that never happened. Not even a Windjammers release date announcement, which I was hoping for, but no, what are you gonna do? Maybe hope again. I will get hope again for the PSX. And I know for a Shenmue 1 and 2 HD at PlayStation Expo. Expo spelled with an X at the start in December. But yeah, hopefully. And didn't see any Shenmue 3 at all either. Except now I know that the game got delayed since it's officially announced. So Q2 2018. Hopefully that might be the day it comes out. I don't know. I just hope that I'll wait so then I could have. I want a good game, but I hope I don't have to wait till like I don't know 2019 to get this thing. But we'll see. We'll see. Yeah. So that's about it for me. From Japan, I guess. Oh yeah. I should probably mention this since I should probably end this with a question. I just finished Half-Life 2 recently on the original Xbox, and it was a really good game and all. I'm not really that interested in first-person shooters, but that's Half-Life and Halo are like the only exceptions since I don't know, just maybe because they're good games. And you have to get your opinion on what is your opinion on Half-Life series in general. I know you said you played a lot of the first one a lot, and I was curious what you thought too, and how it would compare to 1 to you. Since I know, yeah, you were into, and also you're into Counter-Strike, which is obviously a Half-Life mod. So, I don't want to, or I just want you mostly to focus on opinion on Half-Life series. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so yeah, that's about it for me in this glorious land of Japan. So, Kazlab, out for now.
Kazlub, my brother. All right, so thanks a lot for the audio comment. By the way, he's doing that by recording on Vocaroo, and he leaves the URL on TigerClawTV.com. It works very well because I can sample it, I can download the MP3, I can throw it in, and it's perfect way to get an audio comment up. So yeah, I'll take those from anybody. So there's a couple things here. Let's start with the animes. So the last thing I was really into was Tenchi Muyo. Well, that's true. I'm an old Tenchi Muyo fan, but Tenchi Muyo is old. Okay, it's very old, and it's very old, and it's also I've heard Sendu is like the authority in the group at this point, and I heard him describe it as a harem anime. So kind of dumb, I guess, by nature. Completely understand if you're not interested in it. Adult me would not be interested in it at all, except that at this point it was something I watched as a kid. We watched there was a Tenchi Muyo movie on Saturday morning anime on the Sci-Fi Channel, in 1995. Much later in life, my older brother bought the OVA. We watched it on DVD. I had a few scattered issues of a comic called No Need for Tenchi, but they were just like a few scattered issues. I didn't get to read, the whole series or anything like that. So you're right, that is a series I have a connection to. Not the only anime I've watched in my life. Later on, when I got married, I got a few issues of the print edition of Shonen Jump before they stopped releasing that. But that was like 10 years ago now. And at that time, I was just happy to be reading I loved that periodical at that time, and I only managed to get my hands on a few of them. But I thought they were great. At that time, they were printing Bleach, they were printing Slam Dunk, they were printing... I don't think there was any... I can't remember if Naruto was still in it or not. But I think maybe it was, but it was unrecognizable. I don't know. It was very cheesy, but it was enjoyable. You know, it was a little cornball. That's fine. The last anime I ever enjoyed at this point was a movie called Perfect Blue, which I watched on a recommendation from Kaiser. And I loved it. It was an amazing movie. Most recently, I looked at the Bleach movies during the Steam sale because they were just a couple of dollars. And I considered getting a Bleach movie because I remember Bleach from the days when I was reading Shonen Jump. I didn't get one because video games instead. But I think I would watch an anime on recommendation. I've recently had the Fist of the North Star was pretty positively recommended to me. So I might give that a try at some point. So let's move on to Half-Life. Half-Life was a game... Half-Life 2 I didn't play much. Okay, so in 2011, during the winter sale, they had something where you had to complete certain achievements to get coal that you could mash together. If you had 5 pieces of coal, you could randomly, get either a game or something like that. I don't know. You could craft them into something. So the achievements were spread out across specific games. So if it was like the achievements today are in this game, this game, this game, and this game. It's like, oh, I've got that one. Let's go play it. Well, one of the games was Half-Life 2. And that was the one and only time I played Half-Life 2. So what makes that different from Half-Life 1? Well, Half-Life 1 I bought in the big box closer to when it came out, pre-Steam. So during those days, the idea of a game having a mod community around it was a bigger deal. Because games were expensive, I was young. Half-Life was huge, not because of what the game was, but because of what you got access to when you bought the game. Counter-Strike, you're right, it is a Half-Life mod, but at that point it was a free Half-Life mod. So when I brought Half-Life home, I got to play Half-Life, I got to play They Hunger, I got to play Counter-Strike a lot. My particular copy also came with Team Fortress Classic on CD, but I only played that a couple of times. I didn't get a Team Fortress Classic until much later. As far as the game is concerned, Half-Life was advertised in the magazines. They were really going for this idea that, like, okay, look, there was a page in the magazine that just said run, shoot, run, run, shoot, run, run, shoot, shoot, run, run, shoot, shoot, run, run, shoot, and it printed this word all the way across the magazine. Then on the very next page, the idea was, okay, now this is Half-Life: run, shoot, rescue the guy, look for cover, reload, talk to this person. The idea was it was not a fast, it was not a fast, dumb shooter. It was slow paced. It had a story. You did things. The other games that were popular at the time, Unreal Tournament, well, no, that came a little bit later, but Unreal, Quake, Doom, these shoot, not much else to them. If you want a story, it's there, but you got to read the instruction manual. Half-Life was trying to get away from that. But the thing is that in retrospect, that's really what I liked. That's a place I want to stay. I want to go back to. So Half-Life, it's good. It's good. I see very little reason to go back and play through Half-Life 2 now, except for the historical significance. Since we know A, it ends on a cliffhanger, and B, there is no resolution to that cliffhanger, and it's been over 10 years. So, I don't know. I don't want to rag on Half-Life. It's just that's kind of where I'm at with that series. I don't have a whole lot of motivation to go back and play Half-Life 2 unless they do another achievement treasure hunt, and I have to go back and play it. But we'll see. Anyway, I'm glad you're having a good time on your trip, man. Just Just live it up, all right? And live it up, and then come home safe. Get back to us in one piece, all right? All right, guys. Wherever you have come from in your life to get here with me 1 hour and 6 minutes and 15 seconds in, I hope that you're making it a good one. I'm rooting for you as hard as a human being can. Keep at it. Don't give up. Remember that I do have a vacation coming. I believe I've got one more week to work here. So I'm going to try and get next week's up a little bit early if I can for everybody. And then I'm out for a couple of weeks, loading up the kids. Gonna go try and make some memories. I'm doing the best I can. I'll try and get some kind of content out in the meantime. Thanks so much for supporting. You guys are the best. And I'll see you next week. Make it a good one.